Good afternoon. Welcome. My name is Richard Mills. I'm the President of Dying with Dignity New South Wales, and I'm delighted to see you all here this afternoon. Thank you for coming to this. This is our third annual Parliamentary Forum. And thank you to Alex Greenwich, Independent Member for Sydney, who's hosting us here today. I'd also like to acknowledge other members of Parliament who are supposed to be here, but I can't see them. Despite that, we have a great group of 5 speakers to talk to you today, and they're going to talk about the ethics of voluntary assisted dying, or voluntary euthanasia. I'm sure that most of you will be very familiar with the arguments in favour of and against voluntary euthanasia. We continually tell people that voluntary assisted dying is compassionate, it's a matter of individual personal choice, it enjoys massive public support. Doctors are already helping suffering people to die, but are forced to do so in secret. And we've got decades of experience now that shows us that laws overseas work safely and effectively. Our opponents will say that legally sanctioning assisted dying puts society on a slippery slope, where faceless bureaucrats will select who should live and who should die, that the vulnerable will be abused by greedy relatives and callous doctors, and that doctors should be healers, not killers, and that only God should end a life. However, it's only rarely you see in the media any discussion of the fundamental values and beliefs that underpin those sorts of arguments. In other words, you don't see much discussion of the ethical basis for these public positions. And that's what I've asked our speakers to concentrate on today. So I guess we ought to ask, what do we mean by ethics? Is that the same as morals, or are they different? Well, I'll pick one suggestion. And that is that both ethics and morals relate to right and wrong, good and bad. But ethics relates to the values that a person gets from some kind of external authority. Could be a profession, like medicine, or an organisation like the church, or it could be from an authority figure like your parents or a school teacher. What sort of values were you taught by your parents and at school? And on the other hand, morals, as opposed to ethics, is supposed to be about your own principles, not what other people tell you, but your own principles regarding what's right and wrong and good and bad. I think the big question then becomes, well, how do you make decisions? Do you accept that that external authority is always right? Did any of you ever disobey your parents? And there are some ethics that apply to everybody all the time. We used to have a media personality that said at the end of his little talk, be kind to each other. Now there's a good value, should apply to everybody. But there are some ethics that are obligatory for a particular group. It might be cultural or religious. And there are some of those groups that acknowledge that while they feel those values are obligatory, that doesn't necessarily mean that other groups have to find them obligatory. Should they think that? Is there one right answer? And if so, who's the expert who's going to tell you what it is? We have lots of experts in the room today. If there is no one right answer, and you've got different experts telling you different things, how are you going to make up your mind? Who are you going to believe? I'm hoping that our speakers today will ask those sorts of questions and even offer some answers. The housekeeping rules are that each of them will have 20 minutes to talk, and we'll have time for questions and answers at the end of the whole session, and we'll wind up at about 4:30. But the first item on the agenda is an introduction to this handsome young man down here, Gideon Cordover. Modest, handsome young man. He has the grand title of being our communications coordinator, but he's going to show you a short video and talk to you about that. Thanks, Gideon.
Thank you, Richard. Can everybody hear me okay? Yep. Very good. In mid-September of this year, Dying with Dignity New South Wales was contacted by one of our members, Miss Ina Ranke. Ina was asking us if we could help tell her story. She described her suffering from a degenerative neurological condition that was making her quality of life unbearable. Vice President of Dying with Dignity New South Wales, clinical psychologist Dr. Sarah Edelman, and I travelled up to Ashtonfield, which is near Newcastle, on September the 18th of this year, and we talked with Ina in her home. We recorded our conversation with her. Ina was 57 years old, and she candidly discussed with us her active life. She had worked as a surf lifesaver, a land carer. She was a Greens political candidate at federal, state and local government level. She was a teacher at TAFE and an accountant. She had lived this very dynamic existence, and sitting with her, she looked out of the window and talked about the bushland outside and recalled growing up and playing in that bushland. She had this a tremendous kind of charismatic spirit. For nearly 4 years, the disease, one that doctors could not identify, had been progressively reducing Ina's ability to enjoy or participate in even life's simplest tasks. I was really moved by Ina's strong spirit and her feisty, charismatic attitude. She was incredibly articulate and thoughtful, and she had an inspiring, positive outlook on life despite her unfortunate situation. We've edited the interview that we're about to show down to 5 minutes, but hopefully very soon Dying with Dignity will put the full 40-minute conversation up on the website. So let's hear that now.
I've always been a fit person involved with sport and everything, and so I got a land care outstanding contribution to land care award. Living like this is torture. I don't want to live in a situation where I can't do anything, and I've got an active brain, so to me ending my own life in my own hand is the most comfortable way to go for me.
You actually have decided that you're going to end your life tomorrow. Some people would ask why, given that you do have support, and given that you are managing, why have you made the decision to end your life?
Because I know that this is degenerative. I can't talk properly. I'm getting more and more pain in my hands, my fingers, my arms. And if it is degenerative, where am I going to end up? Where? And I want my own life to be in my own hands. I've been an independent person all my life, making my own decisions, for better or worse. I want this final decision to
as you're getting closer to the time, how are you feeling about that?
More and more comfortable, more and more urgent. I even thought about it ending this afternoon. And it bores me that the majority of politicians and Christian zealots can think about ruining, not concerning themselves about walking a mile in someone else's shoes. And the bill that Kate Freeman put up, it was sensible.
How did you feel when the New South Wales Parliament voted it down?
Oh, disgusted. Absolutely, totally and profoundly disgusted. How dare they? How dare they determine, based on their religious proclivities, determine what we as citizens can do with our own lives? I'm not hurting anyone else by this. I'm just making a decision for myself, and it's a disgusting situation that no one can be with me because of the implications that they may be somehow involved. We need this draconian law to be changed.
Your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Sarah. Thank you both for coming up and talking with me and allowing me to share my experience and
The following day after we made that interview, which was Thursday, September the 19th, Ina took a lethal barbiturate with the intention of ending her own life. Ina was found unconscious but still alive. She was taken to hospital and placed on life support. Sarah and I returned on that Sunday to visit Ina at the Newcastle Mater Hospital. The doctors had access to Ina's advanced healthcare directive. However, the medical team refused to act according to Ina's wishes because to turn off the machines, they said, could be considered assisting a suicide. 4 days later, after a scan revealed no brain function, the ventilator was finally switched off. Ina died at 3 a.m. on Tuesday the 24th of September, nearly 5 days after being admitted to hospital. Visiting with Ina brought back many memories for me of my own father, Robert, who died after taking a similar drug in 2009 after suffering from motor neuron disease. Like Robert, Ina faced many potential risks because she was denied the medical mediation that an assisted dying law would require. Ina had to face these potential risks alone, and Sarah and I both felt very uneasy having to drive away that day. Ina made it clear to us, however, that she wanted no one to be implicated or involved in her death, and also she made it clear to us that she didn't want to have to try this again. The thought or the possibility of the attempt not working was terrifying. That Ina had to die alone, without her friends around her, as she would have wanted, is tragic. That she had to die with no safeguards in place to protect her well-being is tragic. Ina was a remarkable lady, and I will remember forever her strength of will and her charming disposition. It was a great pleasure for me to have met with her, albeit for a very brief amount of time, and to have heard her story firsthand. It saddens me that her end was so fraught with difficulty. I hope that Ina's story serves as a timely reminder to politicians of how the current broken law leaves the community and individuals like Ina at awful risk. Thank you.
Thank you.